This is the tornado analogy, and what it is an analogy for your mind. So this is a tornado, and up here is where you are, like when your thoughts are positive and your thoughts are serving you. So when you're up here, you can see the bright blue sky, you can see the sun shining, the birds flying, the butterflies. The world looks like a great big playground full of opportunities. Life is fun and lighthearted. And then as you get a negative thought, you start to kind of like drift down this tornado a little bit. And if you're unconscious to your negative thoughts and you let them kind of just stick around in your mind, then they start to multiply. And then you like end up getting sucked down this tornado. And if you aren't paying attention to your thoughts, then you end up at the bottom of your tornado. You can end up at the bottom of this tornado. And it's like this pit of despair. It's dark all around. You don't know how you got there. It looks like there's no way out. It's just dark, chaotic mayhem in your mind. Not a good place to be. And how you get out of it is you have to become aware of your thoughts and conscious of them and just like observe them. Stop identifying with the thoughts, and then you reframe them to thoughts that serve you. And as you do that, you start to climb back up this tornado slowly. And at first, you're like, okay, I'm doing it, but I don't see much improvement. I'm still in this chaos. And then you keep doing that, and you slowly work your way back up to the tornado until all your thoughts, at least a majority of them, have been reframed to thoughts that serve you. And you can see the light again, and life is good. And a lot of things too, like we identify with our mind, we think we are our thoughts, which is not the case. Our Spina points out that like when we say I am, we point to our heart, and that's where the seat of our soul is. But we over-identify with our mind. We believe our thoughts, and we think that we are our thoughts, and then we beat ourselves up, and our thoughts are not very kind to us. So we step back, observe our thoughts, and we reframe the negative ones to thoughts that do serve us. So that way we can kind of stay up here. We can catch ourselves and stay in this light. We don't necessarily and unconsciously get sucked down this tornado into the pit of despair, where all we feel like doing is crying and dying. So that's the tornado analogy for like our thoughts. It's an easy visual that's helped me. And there's this card by Tori Hartman from her Oracle deck. It's an insecurity card. And I love this card because he's like, I love myself. And the devil's like, mwahaha, not anymore, you don't. 95% of our thoughts come from our subconscious, which is a lot. We only consciously control 5% of what we're thinking. And about 90% of what we thought yesterday, we'll think tomorrow and the day after. When we allow those negative thoughts to stick around, they really do stick around day to day and kind of start to multiply. So it's important to just not identify, observe, and reframe them so we can have more positive thoughts that are following us into us day to day. And it does take time. And a lot of it does have to do with our subconscious, the programming that we've had. We've got to learn how to sort of like deprogram and reprogram it so the way it serves us. It's not telling us these terrible things about ourselves or filled with all these dark, dense emotions that lead to self-sabotage. When there's still that small part of us in our heart that knows that we can, it still dreams. We want to flip it so most of us is in our heart that's still dreaming and believes. And those little self-sabotaging, dark, negative thoughts we sort of clear out so we can live our life more freely, happily. We're not sabotaging this beautiful life that we have. And like in spirituality, there's like a spiral image that you see a lot, and the positive energies are a lot lighter. So like they're the top of the spiral, and it's like the butterflies and the birds, the lighter energies are fleeting. They're like butterflies passing by. They come and go a lot freer. Whereas the darker, denser energies like anger, sadness, hatred, they're at the bottom of the spiral. And that's because, they're denser in energy, so they stick around more. They're harder to just let pass by like butterflies. That's sort of important to remember as well, and that's fitting for the tornado. They kind of go together. There's this tale from Mesopotamia of Inanna's journey, and she was this goddess. And she goes down to the underworld, and the underworld is a metaphor, and they call it like the netherworld, but it's a metaphor for our subconscious, our shadow, what isn't like what's hidden from us, what about ourselves that's hidden from us. And so she goes down to the underworld, and she dies immediately. It's a dark, harsh place, and her body is suspended from a meat hook. And then 3 days later, the god of water comes and revives her, and she goes back up to the light. But she has to find somebody to take her place down in the underworld. And so she chooses her husband, because he was unfaithful to her those 3 days that she was gone. So he's down in the underworld. I think it's like one part of the year. And so what that is a metaphor for is there's certain periods in our life where we do kind of have to venture down to the bottom of the tornado. And that is to discover more of ourselves, the dark parts of ourselves that we haven't been able to explore before. And then, once we do that, it's very important we come back up to the light. But when we do, only about 3/4 of us comes back up. There's always a part of us that stays down at the bottom in our shadow. And that's like what Carl Jung talks about, like integrating our shadow to become whole. And that's like where our creativity comes from. So after that happens, we can like go into the depths of our being, the dark shadowy bits, and pull out more creativity to bring to the surface, to use, to play, and all that. So that's the metaphor for that bit. And the reason why she's suspended is very important, like her body's suspended from a meat hook, and that's because that's like when we feel stuck or stagnant, like we're in an in-between phase. And that part is very important, that we're gentle with ourselves and give ourselves grace and allow this kind of process to happen of us exploring our shadow self before we come back up. To not be hard on ourselves, So there are certain periods in life where it is important for us to venture down to the bottom of the tornado, so that way we can better understand ourselves, enhance our creativity, and help integrate our shadow once we do come back up. But yeah, so we can be in the light, playing like we're meant to do, while also taking time to understand our shadow and integrate that, because that is important. But we don't want to stay there unnecessarily or believe that the shadow is all of who we are necessarily. Just a very small part of us that is important to recognize and to integrate into the whole of our lightness. Quick video. I hope the analogy helped you. Nice and easy to visualize. Inanna's journey is a very long, complex tale, but that was like a very, very short not even a summary, but piece of it and how it relates to like Jung and this analogy.